Hello, and welcome to the Lead Center's final Huskers in the Spotlight concert of the 2020-2021 season, our live stream concert series featuring special performances from UNL students and alumni. We've so enjoyed having all of you join us month after month throughout the season to meet some of the phenomenal artists we have right here in Nebraska. Keep an eye out for our 2021-2022 announcement to check out where we're taking Huskers in the Spotlight as it enters its second year. I'm Jane Schermeyer Hansen, the Education and Community Engagement Director here at the Lead, and your host for today's episode. For our final episode, we're trying out something a bit different. Today, our artist is a magician who studied right here at the Johnny Carson School of Theater and Film at the University of Nebraska. He had an early start as a magician, giving his first performance at just 6 years old. He has degrees in theater performance and chemistry from UNL. He also spent 2 years attending the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts while working as a professional actor, dancer, and voiceover artist. After moving back to Nebraska and fully embracing his career as a magician, our artist began performing for corporate events, fundraisers, parties, and weddings, establishing himself as a staple artist in the community. It is my pleasure to welcome to the stream today, live from the Lead Center, give it up for the Midwest Mentalist, David Michael Fox.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome you. My name, again, is David Fox, and I'm what's known as a mentalist. So there's some confusion between what mentalism and magic is, what's the difference between the two, and that's why I'm here. I'm going to educate you a little bit on that. Mentalism can mean different things to different people, but mentalism to me indicates the area within magic that deals with psychological and mind-reading effects. So unlike traditional magic that happens for the eyes, mentalism happens for the mind. So this should be a lot of fun. What does it say about me, though? This means that I use psychological principles and my knowledge of human behavior to either put thoughts into your mind or extract thoughts from your mind. So essentially, I get paid to screw with people's thoughts. That's pretty much it. Today in the studio, Jane and I will be working together on several things. I'm going to try to use her as much as possible. She is about 25, 30 feet away from me, so bear with me on some of the things, but we're going to try one or two things. And I want to open up with a little game of imagination between Jane and me. Jane, here's what I want you to do. I want you to imagine that I've got 4 cards here. Now, it shouldn't be very difficult to imagine because I do have 4 cards here. But what I want you to do is imagine if I were to turn these cards around one at a time, you would see the 4 queens. The Queen of Hearts, the Queen of Diamonds, the Queen of Spades, and the Queen of Clubs. I want you to imagine I'm going to pull 2 of the queens out of this deck right now. We're going to remove 2 of them. They are either the red queens or the black queens. Which ones did I just remove?
The black queen.
The black. So we've removed the black. We're getting rid of them completely. I will remove one more because all that's left in here are the 2 red queens. So I'm going to remove one more. It's either the Queen of Hearts or Queen of Diamonds. Which one are we going to get rid of?
The hearts.
We're going to get rid of the hearts. So what would leave the last card in here would be?
The Queen of Diamonds. The
Queen of Diamonds, that's right. Now, we didn't set up anything ahead of time. We didn't pre-plan any of this. It's important for you to know at home that nothing of the sorts was thought out ahead of time. In fact, I haven't even shown a magic trick here for Jane today. But you selected the Queen of Diamonds. Before I came here, I reversed 1 card in this pack. Now, again, this was a game of imagination to take you on a journey, but also for me to try to place a thought into your mind, Jane. As I spread these, you'll see 1 card, and 1 card only, is actually reversed.
Yeah.
Now, did you feel influenced at all to pick that specific card?
No, not at all.
Now, I know the camera's probably jumping back and forth between us, so some people think I might have done some kind of sleight of hand or something to reverse that card when the camera was off. I promise I won't do anything of that nature. In fact, that's the beauty of mentalism, is I don't need to. I knew before I ever came here today that she would pick the Queen of Diamonds. In fact, that's the only one I brought with a red back. Take it 1 step further, that's actually the only queen I brought at all.
Wow.
How's that for confidence for you?
Very cool.
Thank you. I'm going to get rid of these, and so that was more me trying to place a thought into your mind. Now I'm going to try to pull a thought from your mind. So I gave you a cup with a dice in it. What I want you to do, go ahead and shake that up a little bit. and make sure the numbers are changing. It's not a loaded dice or anything. Go ahead and shake it up now. You can probably hear it on camera. Go ahead and stop. Now, I can't see from this distance, again, 20 or 30 feet, and she's covering the bottom of the cup here. So I can't see. Go ahead and shake it up one more time. Okay, and look at the top number on there that it settles on. You got it?
I do.
Okay. Did it change each time you shook it?
It did.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, again, your hand's covering it, I can't see it from this distance. I just want you to look at me, and I'm going to go through the numbers. I don't want you to give any reaction whatsoever, but I'm going to try to figure out what number it is. And it's a little difficult because you're wearing a mask, so I really have to read your eyes on this. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, both times you blinked on 5 or 6, which tells me that you're trying to keep your eyes open towards the beginning. So I think it's a lower number. I think it's 1, 2, or 3. So we're just going to go through those. Stare at me right here. So this is 1, 2, 3. Immediately she blinked right after 1. I'm going to go with 1. Is this a 1?
It is a 1.
Okay. Let's try this again. Go ahead and shake up that cup. And actually this time, just so you know it's not a loaded dice, if you don't like the number, go ahead and shake it up some more. Make sure it's different. It can be the same number. It really doesn't matter. Let me know once you have one.
This feels like a good number.
It feels like a good number.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's try it. Let's try it without me looking at you. So this time, I'm going to say the numbers, and I just want you to say no after each number. 1.
No.
2.
No.
3.
No.
4.
No.
5.
No.
6.
No.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's not towards the lower part or the higher part. I think it's somewhere in the middle. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So it's either 3, 4, or 5. Am I correct in saying
Yes.
that? Okay, so let's try this again. Let's go 3,
No.
4,
No.
5.
No.
This is a 4.
It is a 4.
Okay, last time, go ahead and dump it out of the cup. Go ahead and put it in your hand. And this time you get to choose the number. You're going to choose it. Just mix it up in your hands. You can shake it if you want. Place whatever number you want face up, and that's going to be the one that you lock into your mind. Let me know once you're ready.
Okay.
So, I want you to just think of this number, and I'm going to keep my eyes closed for this. And I just want you to imagine that number leaving your mind, entering mine, almost as if you're standing on a stage, the lead center stage actually, and I'm sitting in the audience. You have to project that number to me using your voice. Obviously, you're not going to say anything, but you're just going to say it in your mind very, very loudly. Just so we don't think anything funny is going on, let me write down the number just so we can see. So I have my decision made, what I just heard. I'm thinking, go ahead and say the number out loud.
5.
5. Luckily, that's what I heard.
Wow. That's fantastic.
All right. So that's a little bit of mentalism for you, a little bit of mind reading. We will take things a little bit further here in a little bit, but for now, do you have any questions for me?
Oh, very cool. That was so much fun. I'm excited to see the rest of the act. I guess a place to start would be how did you start learning magic? What led you down this path?
You know, I've been asked this a few different times, and I wish I had a better memory. It's coming from the mentalist who's supposed to be a memory expert and everything else. All I can remember is for some reason during my 6th birthday or around there, I must have seen a magician. And all I wanted for Christmas, my birthday's in August, so I had several months before Christmas, but I hounded my mom for 3-4 months at least, telling her I wanted a magic kit for Christmas. Most kids were wanting the Nintendo or something like that. I wanted the cheap $20 kit from Pomida, Kmart, Walmart, Alco, whatever was around here at the time. And Christmas morning came, and that was the last present I got. And I open it up, and there's a picture of me that should be lost to the universe, but pretty sure it's a 6-year-old in his whitey tighties, his Ninja Turtle underwear, holding a magic kit, just with the biggest smile on his face. From there, I took every opportunity that I could to perform. So every time my parents were watching TV, commercials would come on. I would make them mute the TV, and I'd come up and I'd perform in front of the TV for them, fumbling through these cheap little plastic tricks on stage for them, and obviously, probably not fooling them whatsoever. And then leaving the stage right before, the TV show that they were watching came back on. This went on for probably a year to my childhood mind, and what I think of time. Seemed like a year anyway. But I remember the specific moment where I performed a trick from one of these kits, and I know I fooled my mom. Like, something changed in her face, like, wait a minute, that's not right. And it was the first time I felt that feeling that, man, I have one up on my mom who's my mom. She knows everything, right? And I blew her away, even though she wasn't going to show it to me. But from that moment on, she saw the passion that I had for it. So she kept buying me more magic kits, and it got to the point where I couldn't buy any more magic kits. I had all the magic kits, or I knew all the tricks because they're recycled between different kits. Mm-hmm. So she went online and she got in touch with, I believe it was Harry Houdini's great-granddaughter or great-grandniece. He didn't have kids, so his grandniece, who ran Houdini.com or something like that, a magic website back in the day. And started talking to that lady, and she started suggesting things for me to start performing. So I started performing with tricks bought from the internet, got in touch with local magicians here in the area, and that took me all the way through high school. Then I discovered cars and girls and fell out of magic for a while. Yeah. And then because of my magic background, it got me into theater, which is where the theater degree and my heavy background in performance arts comes in. But sometime around my time in New York City, I kind of fell in love with it again. I had some downtime between auditions and things that I was hitting, and I started researching it. And magic had grown exponentially in the time that I was away from it. So I came back into it and fell in love with it all over again. Once I moved back to Nebraska with my wife and had my daughter, who's now 5, I started doing corporate entertainment, started promoting myself as a magician and going around touring and doing public shows, doing corporate events and things like that. And I mean, the rest is history. And now I'm releasing products for magicians around the world. I'm in talks with a lot of these people, and that's where I'm at today.
Wow, very cool. What a journey that was. And I always love it when people tell the story of how they started their art, and it comes from when you're 5 or 6. I just think that to watch how that can grow and evolve and change over someone's life is so interesting. So you talked a little bit about your background in the performing arts, mm-hmm. but you have this really diverse kind of array of academic pursuits like theater, chemistry, acting, dance. So what parts of kind of your formal education have really contributed to your magic career?
Magic's one of those things. I interact with people on a daily basis. So just last week I was performing for a neurosurgeon. And obviously I could hit it off with him, not because of the magic, but because I could talk science with him. And again, that's a passion of mine. I love to read. I love to learn new things. But when I'm up here on stage, there are different things through my education that have helped me develop what I'm doing up here. So whether that's voice and speech, movement, directing. As a magician, as a mentalist, I mean, I don't have a director. I don't have a sound technician. I don't have someone to block out my show. I have myself. It's kind of like a stand-up comedian coming up here and reciting the same script every night, getting laughs and tweaking it on their own. They're acting as director, sound designer, everything all together. And throughout my theater education especially, I've had to develop all those skills myself. Now, that's not to say I don't hire people to look at things from different angles and make sure that things are flowing correctly and things of that nature. But that was a huge influence through the theater background. The chemistry and the physics and all that I'm into, and with my chemistry degree, there's so much that fits into it, whether it's methodology behind how I do some of this stuff. psychology plays a huge role. I was pre-med at UNL, and I mean, some of those classes, surprisingly, I can take little pieces of everything and kind of mold it into this craft. On top of that, the interaction with people when I'm at corporate events, being well-rounded and understanding different things. When we're up here on stage and I have someone think of something and I try to get that from them, it helps to have that broad range of knowledge, because I've had PhD chemists try to fool me that don't know I'm a chemist, and they'll write down some complex molecule. It's really surprising for the audience when I can reproduce that molecule and tell them a little bit about it, and then I usually reveal that I'm also a chemist. So good try, but sit down. Yeah. So everything that I've learned and everything I continue to learn has definitely helped me up here.
Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. I bet there is a lot of surprise with that sometimes.
Oh,
you don't usually
yes.
see that skill set kind of together in one person.
Yeah, and I mean, improv theater. I was part of an improv troupe in New York City, just a small one, and we did a few shows here and there. But really, I wasn't in love with improv. I was in love with the idea of it, and Magic has allowed me to kind of exercise that improv rubber band, if you will. Every day, I perform the same trick over and over and over again, whether it's a card trick or a coin trick. I'll perform it thousands of times. It's the same trick for me. I'm not impressed by it anymore. But what's new every single time are the lines that are said to me, the surprise that I see on other people's faces. So that's the improv nature of what I do. That's what makes this a little difficult with just me and you, although this is working pretty well. But when I'm in a room full of people, you've got different minds, and when they come together, comedy happens, things happen, and it's fun to play off of.
Yeah, that's great. So I know that you practice mentalism, hypnotism, magic. How can our viewers kind of see, I know you explained mentalism a bit earlier, but how can they kind of see the difference between these diverse areas?
Yeah, so there's definitely a blurred line between mentalism and magic. There's even the magicians in the industry, they even have kind of a sub in between that's mental magic. Now, mentalism is more like what I was doing with you and the dice. I was trying to pick up on certain subtleties, certain cues from you to try to get that information from you. We're going to do a little bit of magic today and a little bit of mentalism. I will close with some mentalism, and I'll kind of show you as we go what the difference between magic and mentalism is. But if we think about magic, it's like making things appear and disappear. You've had magicians here at the Lead that have come and been on stage. And usually, the big stage illusions and stuff, I see that as magic. Again, the mentalism aspect means different things to different people. You might have someone who's a mentalist do tarot card readings. To me, that blurs the line. For me, that's not necessarily a mentalist, that's more of a psychic. And I very much separate myself from a psychic, because I don't believe in the psychic abilities and things, because I've done the research, I've done the reading, and I understand how we can mimic what a psychic could do.
It's that science background again. Probably.
Yes, and that's the science background. That's exactly right. So again, I am a skeptic. I've never seen anything that makes me believe in true psychic ability. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means nothing has proved it to me. Yeah. But I enjoy simulating it on stage and giving people that feeling. As adults, we don't get that sense of wonder that we got when we were a kid. We came down, Christmas morning, 6 years old, and we saw that magic kit package under the tree. We get that feeling in ourselves. We don't get that as adults. And people have children, and they kind of hand that off and live vicariously through them by giving them those kind of things. The gift that I get to give is I get to bring that wonder and that amazement back to adults that don't get that every day. And I think that's why magic, mentalism, and things are so popular to hire for big corporate events and things, is because they want to give that to everyone. I mean, you can buy them a meal. That's short-term satisfaction. But if you see a magician do something on stage to yourself or someone that you know, it blows their minds, and they're going to take that memory with them for the rest of their life.
Yeah, kind of the lived, getting to have those lived experiences and keep those memories. It's certainly really special, and something we obviously value a lot here at the Lead Center.
Yeah, that's the thing with all the arts right now. I think that's a huge piece that's missing. And granted, I'm an avid theater goer, obviously avid theater performer as well, but it's a piece of life right now that we are missing. although you can sit in front of the TV and you can watch TV and get entertainment that way, there's something about going to a theater, sitting down and watching a live performance and being in the atmosphere with other people. That's the big thing with Magic and Mentalism as well. Again, with any of the performing arts, but when the person next to you laughs, it makes you laugh, and it's like a contagious, thing that just kind of flows out through the audience, that makes everybody, enjoy it that much more, that much deeper. Right now we're in a bad time where everyone's on their phone while they're watching TV. They can't give 100% of their attention to the stage or to a TV screen. But when you're in the theater, you just have that sense, and you want to give your all to the performers, and they want to give their all to you. And there's something beautiful about that.
Yeah, that connection for sure.
Yeah.
So thinking about it, you're talking about some of the corporate events you do, and the big rooms of people. Do you have any interesting or fun stories from any of those events?
Yeah, I mean, things happen. So I have rehearsed my stuff meticulously until, it's where you see it today. I've honed my skills over many years of practice, and typically I don't even perform something unless I've had, hours and hours and days worth of practice on it, because there's a lot of pressure on you when you're on stage. It's just like a musician, practicing piano. They want to practice that piece 1,000 times so they can get it into their mind, and once they've got it into their mind, it goes to their fingers or whatever, and that's when you're, playing through your heart. And that's what I try to do as well. So that being said, every time I go into a corporate environment, I'm on a new stage. A lot of times it's not even a stage. Sometimes it's just, a spot where there's no table. So I have to know my craft well enough to adapt to any situation. I've had corporate events call me and say, hey, we're going to have 200 people. We're going to give you a stage at the end of the banquet room. And then a week before the show, they're like, actually, we have 500 people. We're past capacity, and your stage has shrunk to, a 5x5 square. And I'm like, whoa, well, I've got a routine where I've got 5 people up on stage with me, and we're interacting. I can't do that anymore. So I have to learn to adapt. I have to have an arsenal of things that I can do in the back of my mind that I can bring to those events. Not to mention, lights are on you. You can't necessarily see the whole audience. One time in particular, I called on a guy to do to choose a word, and I gave him a book, had him thumb through the book, memorize a word, and toss it away. And there was a language barrier that I didn't catch on, that he wasn't understanding everything I was communicating. So when I told him to toss the book into the bin that I had to the side, he chucked the book all the way to the back of the room, because he thought when I said to toss it, it just meant toss the heck out of it, throw it clear back there. So things like that, which I blame myself for. I never blame my audience. It's one of those things where you live and learn. We've had coincidences happen where 2 people on stage, a husband and wife, I've got a 10-minute routine where I'm going to make them read each other's mind. I bring them up and I have a joke where I have them try to read each other's mind, and 99.9% of the time it fails. One time it worked, and I was like, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for these guys. We don't even need to do the next 10 minutes. Go ahead and sit down. So all sorts of things happen. I think every show that I do, there's something I can take away, and there's a story there, and I've done hundreds of shows by now. So.
Yeah, and that flexibility, including things like shooting a socially distanced magic show in a studio here.
One person in the room.
With one person in your audience. But definitely that flexibility and adaptability, and theater definitely, your theater background definitely, as you said, lends itself to that.
Yeah.
So I do think you have some more tricks up your sleeve.
I do. And so I'm going to pull you over here to this close-up table that I've set up, and I've got a few card effects I'm going to do for you. Now, Jane's not going to come up here and perform or be a spectator with me, but she can see me on the monitor, and we're going to have her make a few selections. So this is kind of a little bit of a blend between mentalism and magic, and I'll show you what I mean. I've got several cards here. I've got a 10 of diamonds, 5 of spades, king of clubs, queen of hearts, 2, 6, 3, and 8 of diamonds. Jane, what I want you to do is name any one of those cards out loud.
Let's do, can you repeat them one more time for me? Sorry.
Yeah. The 10 of diamonds, 5 of spades, king of clubs, the queen, the 2, the 6, the 3, and the 8 of diamonds. So just the number is fine.
Let's do the king.
The king. Let's see here, which one is that? That's right there. So we have the King of Clubs. Now, I don't normally do this. You did choose the King of Clubs. I'm going to spread these one more time, and I don't know how well you can see them, but I will give you an opportunity to change your mind for a Queen, 2, 6, 3, 8, 10, and 5. But before I let you change your mind, if you'd like, I am going to tell you there's one card specifically I'm trying to get you to pick. It may be the King. It may be one of these. It's up to you if you want to change your mind or you can stay.
I think I'll stay with this one.
You'll stay. Now, one of these cards is from a different deck, and I have a way to prove to you that I wanted you to select one specific card. You see, all these cards came from a blue back deck. All the cards except for one. The King of Clubs, which you named, actually came from a red back
Wow.
deck. Now, people ask me a lot of times, what if? What if I was thinking of a different card? Because obviously, different people, when they're watching this, they wonder, if they would have chosen, say, the 6 clubs. Let's just do that one, for instance. Do you remember what color the back of the 6 clubs is?
Well, it should be blue.
It should be blue. Check this out. No, it's still blue. I'm sorry, I'm not that good. I do something else, though. This illustrates the magic portion. So the first part I influenced you to choose a card, that was magic. Or sorry, that was mentalism. This part is magic. You see, all those cards that were blue, I have now changed to be red. And that is what we call in the business misdirection.
Wow.
Very, very
Very
neat.
cool.
So I don't know if the people at home have noticed, but I've had an envelope on stage this entire time with a question mark on the back. It's been sitting back here. And I kind of debated doing this one because it is a mentalism trick, and up here I was going to do primarily sleight of hand magic, but I'll try this one with you anyway. So far, we've had you a 1 in 4 chance of picking a card with the opener that I did with the Queen of Diamonds. We had a 1 in 6 chance of with the dice. This last one was a 1 in 8 chance of you picking the correct one. Now we're going to take this a step further and do a 1 in 35. So again, I'm going to try to get a little bit more difficult here. And I'll show you what I have. I've got a deck of cards, but it's not a typical deck of cards. On the back, I've written numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll go through some of these. 10, 17, 29, 34, so on and so forth. Each one's different. On the face of these cards, they're blank-faced, and I've written down my favorite movies. These are about my 35, 40 favorite movies. We won't go through them all, but I'm sure you'll recognize some of the titles. We've got Mean Girls, E.T., Harry Potter, The Princess Bride, The Dark Knight. Again, my theater background, I love movies. Die Hard, one of the best Christmas movies of all time. I'll fight you for it if you don't believe me. Jaws, so on and so forth. Now, my favorite movie of all time is actually in this deck. But these cards aren't necessarily in order from 1 being my favorite to the last one, number 40 or 35, being my least favorite. They're completely random. And I want you to select a number between 1 and 35. And hopefully, with any luck, through what I've just told you, I've influenced you to pick the correct number.
Okay.
Go ahead and name a number between 1 and 35 now.
33.
33. So we're going clear down to the bottom, towards the bottom here. A few cards left, so 33. I'm just going to move that one to the top and show you, if you would have chosen 32, you would have gotten the Lion King. If you would have gone for 34, you would have gotten E.T. But instead, you went for the number 33. Now, I'll show you what's on the other side of this. And again, before I show you this, I'm just going to place it down here, 33. There's no other 33s in here. All the titles are, in fact, different. I want that to be very, very clear. Usually when I do this, I have people live at the table with me so they can see everything. But you chose number 33 here. My favorite movie is Back to the Future. Thank you very much. No. Back to the Future is my favorite movie, but I wanted to prove it to you in an envelope that we haven't touched the entire time. It's been back there. I did write down something ahead of time. And 33, we didn't talk about this ahead of time. I didn't force you to choose 33 to the best of your knowledge.
Yeah.
But it was Back to the Future. And on this piece of paper, I did write Back to the Future.
Wow.
That is mentalism.
Okay, you're fantastic.
All right. Let's get rid of some of these, and I've got one last little prediction effect for you before we go back to some mentalism. Again, when I was called to do this, I didn't know if I'd be able to interact with someone directly across from me, and a lot of what I do, again, relies on people that I'm on stage with. And because of COVID and the restrictions that we have, it's difficult for me to work with a mask on and to be able to read people. So I've kind of designed the effects that I brought today to be done at a distance, and this is one of them. So again, we didn't talk about this ahead of time. I didn't have you pre-select a card or anything like that, but in this deck, I've reversed a card. I've made a prediction on a card, and it's actually the other way around in the deck. Now, this is very clean, no sleight of hand. I'm not going to do anything with the box until after you name a card. Now, before you select a card, you've seen several cards already. We had queens up here. We had 8 different cards. I'm not going to go over them again, but those may or may not have influenced you in some way. On top of that, I will tell you that most people choose the queens. The most commonly picked card, if I tell you to think of a card, is the Queen of Hearts. Doesn't mean you can't pick it. I just want to make you aware of it. So for the first time, what I want you to do is name any card in the deck.
The 5 of clubs.
The 5 of clubs. The 5 of clubs. Now, again, that was a totally random thought. It's not your favorite card or anything, or maybe it is. Now, I did reverse some cards in this. I told you ahead of time that the most commonly picked card was the Queen of Hearts. On top of it, some of the most commonly picked cards are the aces. People are drawn to the aces or the bullet cards. But you said the 5 of clubs. Now, I did reverse the aces here. But on top of that, there we go. On top of that, this is not necessarily my prediction. My prediction is in the deck. It's actually in these aces, and I'll show you why. These aces came from a different deck altogether, and you said the 5 of clubs, yes?
Yes.
That would have been impressive if I reversed the 5 of clubs, but this is a slightly different trick. You see on the back of these cards, I have written the 5 of clubs.
Oh my goodness.
Again, from a shuffled deck, set up beforehand.
Wow.
That's what I have for you for the close-up section.
Oh my goodness, I'm amazed.
I'm blowing minds here. I can't hear them in the studio, but I'm sure they're freaking out right now. I see champagne, all over the walls, and they're just flipping out. I can tell right now. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna have you do something for me, Jane.
Yes.
I'm going to try. I gave you a stack of magazines there earlier. I think there's 6 or 8 magazines. If you will pick those up and thumb through them, go ahead and choose any magazine you want. Those are all, business magazines or financial magazines, whatever was available at the doctor's office last time I went. They hand them out freely. Don't worry, they're Lysol though. Can't be too cautious in this time. So go ahead and pick one out.
Okay.
Which one did you grab?
I picked In These Times.
In These Times. I thought you might with the 2 faces there and this being a theater background. Go ahead and set the rest of the magazines aside.
Okay.
In These Times, and I don't know what the date is. If there's a date on the front of that, it might be an old magazine. It doesn't matter. But what I want you to do is I want you to thumb through that magazine and find a page with a lot of words on it. Find a page with a lot of words on it. And as you skim through, I want you to find 2 or 3, say, large, interesting words. Let's say more than 6 or 7 letters. Just anything there. If you pick out 2 or 3, narrow it down to 1. We've never made someone perusing a magazine so interesting, right? So skim through the page, find a few big words, and let me know once you have one in particular that stands out to you.
Okay. I
You got
think I'm
one?
ready.
Is it more than 7 letters?
It is.
I'm going to make it a little difficult for me. All right, so go ahead and shut the magazine. Now, again, we're 20, 30 feet apart.
Yes.
Probably closer to 40 feet apart.
Pretty far.
So if you'll set that magazine aside,
Okay.
I'm going to invite you up here on stage just to stand over here, and I'm going to try to read a few things on you and try to get this word out of your mind. If we're at all lucky. So what I want you to do is I want you to think of the first letter of this word. Think of the first letter of this word. And actually draw it out in your mind as if you're sketching it, if you will. Okay, I don't know if this is right at all, but this is the one I went with. So for the first time, go ahead and tell me what the first letter is.
H.
H. Okay, so as I was going through, I was getting a T for some reason. Is there a T in your word?
Yes.
Okay. Let's try this again. Actually, I'll start on a new page here. A new page. We're going to go with an H. Now, I asked you before the camera started rolling, I asked you to think of a few other things. I asked you to think of a celebrity as well.
Yes.
This is a celebrity that everyone would know, or the majority of people would know, they recognize.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so what I want you to do is think of that as well, because I think I'm going to have a difficulty with the longer word. So let's try for the celebrity, just because there's really only about 100 celebrities that people normally pick.
Okay.
So first off, I just want you to think if this is a male or female. Okay, you kind of went this way when I went female, and you nodded that way. So this is a female?
It is.
It is, okay. Don't give me any hints now. Just think of their first name for me. Actually, better than that, think if they're still alive or if they're passed away. So alive or passed away. Okay, this is someone who's passed away. Yes, this is an older person.
Yes.
Now, would I be correct in saying that this is either a movie star or a singer?
Yes.
Usually when we think of that, sometimes I get politicians, but that's a little bit more rare. So I want you to think actor or musician. Actor, musician. Okay, there's some confusion there. You look like maybe they were both. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Okay.
More one than the other.
More one than the other. Okay. So let me think of the name in your head. Actually, I think I'm getting the word. So the longer word, we'll kind of skip back to that. If we went for the longer word, could you break this up? Is it like multiple words stuck together?
It is.
Okay. Let's go with, it's quite a long word.
It is.
I'm going to have to hyphenate here. For the first time, go ahead and tell us what your word is.
Heartbreakingly.
Heartbreakingly. I also got heartbreakingly.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's go for does it feel a little weird to have your mind probe so much?
It does. Yeah.
Okay, and the actor is really throwing me. Maybe I'm not as well versed, but what I want you to do is think of the first name of this person. Do they go by first and last name? That's how people would probably recognize them.
Yes.
Okay, think of the first name for me and just say it in your mind, not out loud, but just in your mind. Okay, think of the last name. Now, I'm a terrible speller, so I don't know. First name I feel like can be spelled multiple ways. What's the name?
May.
May West?
May West.
Yes, May West.
May West.
Perfect. We're off to a good start. I've got one more thing that I want to do for you. I want you to get an image in your mind. There is a notepad on the ground for you.
Okay.
Go ahead and pick that up, and there's a marker there if you'll uncap it. And I want you to think of an image that you can draw. We can do this vertically or we can do it horizontally, whichever one you would want.
Okay.
Just let me know which one you'd like to try for.
Let's go vertically.
Vertically, okay. So what I'm going to do here, I'm actually going to have us turn away from each other. This will make sure that I can't read anything from you, and you can't read anything from me. Sometimes if you were to write something down, you could read what I was writing just by the pen movement sometimes. So let's go back to back. And I'll kind of talk over my shoulder here, but I genuinely can't see you, just so the microphones can pick me up. And I am going to start drawing on the count of 3, and I want you to start drawing as well. Now, again, before we start this, to reiterate for the people watching at home, we did not set this up. I didn't tell you what to draw. Genuinely, yeah, this is good to go. Okay.
Yep, nope.
All right, so on the count of 3, go ahead and start drawing. 1, 2, 3. How close are you?
Not quite.
Not quite. You went pretty detailed here, huh?
Yeah. Somewhat.
Somewhat, okay. Oh, this is fun. So I don't know if I've got everything right, but I'm locked in. Let me know when you are done.
I think I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead and tap your pen and hold the clipboard up against your chest so I can't see the drawing.
Okay.
Then we'll turn around on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. You're like guarding it with your life. I love it. I love it. Go ahead and show the camera what you drew, because I'm just kind of curious. And if I'm not correct at all. Very nice, very nice. So that is an egg on the wall, and this is a flower, obviously, with the sun, and your son has sunglasses.
Yeah, I think my drawing skills might have peaked in elementary school. So.
Now, I will admit, I've been an artist for many years, so what I do is I interpret what I'm getting from you, and I try to make it a little bit better. I was pretty close. I'd say I was almost spot on, actually, with my drawing.
Oh my goodness.
So we got the sun with the sunglasses and the flower. How many petals? You got 5 there. I think I have 6 or 7, so I wasn't spot on with that. Close enough, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me up on stage.
Yes, thank you.
Let me put this away. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much what I have for you and presented today. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you want to find out more about me, you can look at my website at www.midwestmentalist.com. Again, my name is David Fox, and thank you guys so much for watching. Now, on top of this, obviously the arts are hurting really, really bad right now because we can't get together and congregate in these spaces. So if you feel compelled, or if you'd be willing to, please donate to the Lead Center Ovation campaign. It would mean the world to me and everybody who works here if you would consider making that contribution. Once again, guys, thank you so much. I hope you had a wonderful time, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.